everybody, Keith Dotson here, and in this video we're visiting another ghost town. Well, almost a ghost town, near the Texas-Oklahoma border. There are still a few people living here and at least one loose dog wandering around, which kept me very aware of my surroundings while I was there. I've had bad experiences with stray dogs, let me say no more than that. I'll give a little history along the way, and as we'll see on the old map in a minute, this stretch of road, which is Old Route 66, was once lined with many businesses. This street also went by the name of Grand Avenue back in the day. There's a little one-room jail in town that's worth visiting. It's their one tourist attraction in town, but I didn't get any footage of that. I was more focused on the abandoned buildings and abandoned houses. I arrived in Texola at midday after a full morning of driving, and as you can see, the light was brutally direct and unfiltered. Texola grew up along the Choctaw, Oklahoma and Gulf Railroad line, which was constructed through the area in 1902. Before being named Texola, the town was called Texola and Texoma. Reuben H. Grimes served as the first postmaster when a post office was established on December 12, 1901. Now keep in mind that Oklahoma didn't get statehood until November 16, 1907. The Texola Herald newspaper was published weekly from 1902 until at least the early 1920s. This was a grocer and a general merchandise store, and we will see it on the historic maps that we're going to look at here shortly from 1905. Texola grew up as a farming community and eventually supported 2 cotton gins and a grist mill. There was a bank, several general stores, a hardware store, a meat market, a blacksmith shop, and a livery. The town had a 10-acre park and an auditorium with a seating capacity of 300 people. Travelers on Old Route 66 had their choice of several gas stations, 3 hotels, and at least a few restaurants. The population peaked at 581 people in 1930 and began declining in the 1930s, probably as a result of the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, when a lot of Okies fled to California. This map shows where we are, Interstate 40 at the top. We traveled down Route 66, also known as Grand Avenue, where Route 66 splits into 2 directions. We're now at that intersection. Here's a 1905 fire map of Texola. At bottom left, you can see that old grocer and general merchandise store. Across the street was another grocer and a meat market, which is now gone. As we scroll up, we can see a saloon, a meat market, a drugstore, offices, restaurant, post office, and a bank. Now, this is a different map with more detail, also dated in 1905, that disagrees somewhat with the previous map, and I'm not sure why. I'll include links in the description to these websites if you care to study these maps in detail. In doing my research, I also found a few old newspaper articles about Texola, mostly talking about the progress on the building of the railroad lines through here. This one tells the story of a bank teller who tied himself up and claimed that the bank was robbed when he actually stole the money himself. Oops, probably seemed like a good idea at the time. And here are a few copies of the Texola Herald I mentioned before. Okay, back to the exploration. I think this was a corner gasoline station. That looks like it might be someone's storage, so I didn't poke my head in there or get too close. This was the Friendly Cafe. That sticker on the front door was for a Bank America card. Do you remember those? They were in use from 1958 until 1976 when it became Visa, so that kind of helps date the timeline for this business a little bit. Here's an old postcard that shows how the Friendly Cafe looked back in the glory days. Look closely, that's the old Magnolia service station. which was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 1995. It's in very poor shape. This is the same building we passed on the way into town. Based on the maps, I think it was a feed and farm supply store. Okay, y'all, here are a few photos I got on this visit. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to visit my website, keithdotson.com.